Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters. And yes, welcome to our most anticipated horror films of 2024. And we are so very lucky to be in the presence of some YouTube horror greats with Ken and Ashley Sledge. Thank you guys so much for joining us from Sledgehammer Horror here. So, yeah, guys, thanks for coming on. Tell our audience, I mean, I'm sure, like I said before, most of them probably already know you. But tell them a little bit about yourselves. Tell them about your channel.
Me?
Yeah,
Right.
awesome. You always do it.
I'm Ken. This is my wife, Ashley. We've been together for 18 years. Been big fans of horror our whole lives. And during...
It's like the only thing that we can agree on.
Yeah.
Like everything else, we're opposite in every way.
Yeah. But, when unfortunately the pandemic hit, we were looking for something. And pretty much it was my wife like, hey, we spend way too much time together now.
Get a hobby.
You need to figure something out. And my first horror movie is something I've done since I was a little kid. So we started Sledgehammer Horror as a podcast. She was like, you should just, do that. And so I bring people on, talk about the first horror movie they watched, what it meant to them. And that was it, to start off. And then Ashley kept coming to me with these ideas like, you should do this, you should do this. And I was like, I'll do it if you do it with me. And she was like, no, never mind.
Yeah, I'm definitely the introvert of the relationship. And I was like, I don't know that I can be on camera. Like, it freaks me out.
And look at her now.
Yeah.
She's perfect.
Well, I don't know about that. But yeah, so I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And he kind of pressured me a little bit. And I was like, all right, I'll try it.
So everything on the show that you see, whether it's Didn't See That Coming, where we talk about a movie with a twist ending, versus which we verse off an original versus a remake or a review, Ashley writes all that. Everything you see on there, she writes it all. I look at a teleprompter and I say what she has written. And if you watch certain episodes, you'll be able to tell because I break character, I break fourth wall, and just start laughing because I'm literally like Ron Burgundy. I read what's on there, and that's it.
I just like to put in
little jokes and inside things
here and there just to throw them off a little bit.
And in the way I look at it, I trust her writing ability. I don't have to proofread what she does. I don't have to ask her questions. You write it. I trust you. I know how good you are. I'll read it. And then, those are her babies. Didn't See That Coming versus and reviews.
Yeah.
And then we have In Defense Of, which is our last offshoot of Sledgehammer Horror, our newest child, so to speak, where we bring guests on and we talk about movies in the horror genre that aren't universally loved, that they love, and they defend it and why people should watch it or give it a second chance. And
which honestly I think that's my favorite
too.
Now, just because I love hearing people's side of why they love a certain movie.
And we've done movies that are like, we've done Halloween Ends, we've done Halloween Resurrection, we've done Poltergeist 3, Wrong Turn 2020,
what else?
Jason Take Manhattan.
Yeah.
It's funny because the very first episode, our good friend is the drummer for the band Coheed and Cambria, Josh, and the first episode we did was with him, and it was Jason Goes to Hell, and which is my favorite in the Friday the 13th franchise. And Ashley was like, I don't want to be on this episode because I have nothing good to say about it. So she wasn't part of the first episode. So people were like, oh, it's another one without Ashley. I was like, oh no, she'll be here. Trust me. But she couldn't find anything positive to say about Jason Goes to Hell. So she was like, I'm not interested at all. Yeah. So that's us. And then once a week we go live. So come check us out on YouTube at Sledgehammer Horror, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Facebook,
all the platforms.
All the platforms. Come check us out.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, and I will have all of that linked for you guys in the description, so definitely give them a follow, and I'll probably say it a few more times as we're doing this. But yeah, no, that's kind of funny how you guys divvy up the work like that, because it's kind of how like Luke and I operate as well. Unless we're like doing even now we're kind of crossing over with our video essay stuff, but like normally video essays on our channel, it kind of just goes one person kind of does all that, and then but everything else, like Luke is the brainchild as far as the writing goes. Like when we started, if you go back to our earliest episodes of the Sunday Scaries, he wrote up the intro, every single story. He'd give his own flair and everything. He's not just reading the bloody disgusting article word for word. But no, like he's does that, and in our filmmaking career. So Luke, definitely take the floor a little bit here, man, and let me know just what is our working relationship like from your side?
Oh, it's just complete disdain. No, no, yeah, it's I've always had an interest in, I guess, writing and screenwriting. So, Dylan is always kind of the effects guy and the camera work more so. So, I mean, it initially translated, I think, short films first. We always did the podcast, and then we started with the short films, and then it kind of just translated into this, where I'm always more of a print style guy, and he's more of the visual kind of sit him down for 2.5 hours, and he comes up with the graphics and theme music and things like that. So it's a great, I think, a symbiotic relationship, because that type of stuff I get lost in the sauce, and he can sit down and do it, and I absolutely love to just stare at a blank page and just start writing. So it works. Well, it's worked thus far. So get back to me in 6 months, and I'll tell you if I hate him.
I think a good partnership is about making sure the right person for the job.
Yeah, everyone has our strengths, everyone has our weaknesses. So whoever
you could have, if you put Tom Brady at left guard, he's gonna fail. Okay,
not everybody knows that.
Okay, Tom Brady's the best quarterback of all time. But
I don't know what that means.
If you put him at a different position, he's not going to succeed.
Give me a different metaphor.
So
I get what you're saying.
You got to play people at their strengths to get the best quality product, and I feel like that's what we do. I'm more of the in front of the camera improv guy. She's more of the super intelligent, super pretty, super hardworking, super perfect superhero. Okay. So I'm just the guy that stands there like, yeah, and she does every ounce of the work. And like tonight, the day that we're recording, this is my 38th birthday.
It is.
Hey, happy birthday, man.
If there was one thing I wanted to do tonight, Ashley said no, because we already have 3 kids. But if there was a second thing that I wanted to do tonight, it was hang out with you guys.
Yeah,
so thank you for having us on.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Yeah.
In all honesty, we were scheduling it, and I was like, you know what? For my birthday, that's what I want to do. I want to hang out with these guys. I had cleared the schedule out because I wasn't going to do anything tonight. And then you guys, pitched the invite, and I was like, Ash, we got to do this.
Yeah.
Like, we got to hang out with these guys, because I wanted her to be able to meet you guys, because I had such a fun time on my first horror movie, and I knew this day was wide open.
Right.
So thank you again for having us.
Yeah.
This is seriously the best birthday present. We're very honored to be here.
That's amazing, man. You didn't have to do that. Seriously. Happy birthday. That's number one. So thank you for that. By the time this goes up, it'll be a couple days past, but nonetheless, wish him a happy birthday in the comments, guys. But yeah, I think that's great. Honestly, like I said it to Ken a little bit, but Ashley, I'll just gas you up too. You guys are seriously the mom and dad of the horror community. Like, everybody seriously sees you as that. You guys are great. I love what you're doing with your channel. And I think we can all agree that we love our horror movies. So why don't we dive into no problem, of course. And why don't we dive into our most anticipated for 2024? So obviously, I know you guys did a big live stream with Haunted Hippie, Cody Leach, and everything, which definitely go check it out. I watched a little bit of it. It was great. Definitely love the chemistry between all you guys. It's awesome. And then, we just wanted to kind of keep it a little bit smaller on here. I didn't want you guys to have to rehash your entire list. So I just said, give me your top 3, each of us. So we'll start off there. Why don't we start off with Ashley? You give your top 3, then Ken, Luke, and then I'll go. We'll each just rattle off what they are, and then we'll go down basically a list I compiled of each movie. And we'll just kind of have a brief discussion on each film and really just soak up what is to come in the horror space for this year.
Okay, sounds good. So my number 3 is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. My number 2 is Maxine, and my number 1 is Imaginary.
Okay. My number 3, which would have not been on my list a year ago today, is Saw 11. My number 2 is the Speak No Evil American remake that's coming out this year. Very stoked on that. And my number 1 is Maxine.
Awesome.
And then my number 3 is Alien Romulus. My number 2 is Late Night with the Devil. And my number 1 is The Wolfman.
Yes, and I'll go with my number 3 because, I wanted to be a little bit different because everybody picked all the great picks already. But I'll go with one that I am actually anticipating, which is The Strangers, Chapter 1. And then 2 that I'm really, really looking forward to are Terrifier 3 is my number 2. And then, of course, Robert Eggers' Nosferatu at number 1. So definitely looking forward to all of that. But like I said, I put these all in a list. So Ashley, we're going to start with you on Ghostbusters. What is it about Ghostbusters Frozen Empire that's got you so excited for that?
I had a lot of fun with Ghostbusters Afterlife. I loved all the characters in it and the actors. Honestly, it made me.
Slime was a part of our set at all times.
It literally got me in the feels at the end. Like I was bawling. So I'm excited to see what they come. I've seen the trailer. It looks really fun. So yeah, I'm just excited for it.
And I just want to add in, thank you for making Ghostbusters a horror movie. I get so pissed off when people say that Ghostbusters is not a horror movie.
Yeah.
Like, you shut your damn mouth. Ghostbusters is totally a horror movie, man.
It totally is.
So
yeah.
Good job, babe.
Thanks.
It's definitely horror adjacent too, and that's like one of the things I always get crap for saying that Jaws isn't a horror film. Like, it's a horror movie, but I always consider it like more of an action adventure film in a sense, more of an adventure, like an Odyssey. But that's like my favorite movie of all time, so it's like that's one of those ones where it's like I feel a little differently about. But yeah, Ghostbusters, it's horror adjacent enough, and one of the things that Luke and I talk about and what he really likes to talk about is gateway horror. And like, that's again one of those that's just getting you into the vibes, into the spirit. Luke, did you actually see Ghostbusters Afterlife?
I have not seen Ghostbusters Afterlife yet.
So good, dude.
It was really good.
It's on my list. I hadn't seen, what was that? 2016?
Yeah, the 16 remake.
They did it something else as well. I haven't seen that, but Afterlife did pique my interest just because we had, returning characters back. But it's something where I have a love for the first two Ghostbusters because, I mean, who doesn't? But I'm excited because I've heard good things about Afterlife, and I definitely have to catch that one before the new one comes out. But yeah, it's like that gateway horror stuff. I eat it up. It's Ken, you've mentioned it a handful of times on your interviews. Ernest Scared Stupid. That's something that is just absolutely I eat up every time. So it's like any of that stuff, I will just so excited for it.
Yeah,
and I will say the female-led Ghostbusters movie. The only thing for me that was a swing and a miss with that movie has nothing to do with the cast. They just tried so hard to make it a comedy that they forgot the horror parts of the movie. I still like the movie.
I had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah,
movie.
like I like the movie. I don't know why it got shit on as hard as it did.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a bunch of SNL characters. Have you seen the first one?
Yeah,
like that's all
seriously.
SNL guys.
Yeah.
Like that's the only reason I think the first Ghostbusters is even funny at all. Is because how Aykroyd and Murray and all them, how they, were entangled with each other.
I feel like they tried to encapsulate that with the women characters.
Right, but they forgot to add the horror aspect.
They forgot the horror.
Right, but as a movie, I think that Ghostbusters movie is just fine. I think it's just fine. That like I do laugh a lot in it. I think it's well done, but you forgot to add the horror part to it. That's the only reason it comes down a little bit for me. That did come back in Afterlife, especially if you're a big fan, Luke, of the original two.
Yeah.
The ending of Afterlife is going to gut punch you.
It does.
Like, it is a punch in the stomach, dude. Like, both of us are in the theater sobbing, and she doesn't cry. Like,
I don't.
Ever.
I don't.
And she was sobbing at the end of that movie. Like, it will.
You don't want to ruin it. But
I will not spoil it. I absolutely refuse to, because you need to go into it blind and not know. But I'm telling you, as a Ghostbusters fan, that ending just punches you right in the gut. You're like, oh, what a beautiful, beautiful ending to this film.
I'm excited to see it. Do you think so if you do Ghostbusters 1 and 2 and then Afterlife right after, I mean, does that set like a perfect kind of viewing?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Because you have a lot of references to 1 and 2. This is a third movie.
Yeah.
Like the events of 1 and 2 are canon in this movie.
Okay.
So you get a lot of what happened after 2 ended and what happened with our OG Ghostbusters and what brings everybody back together. So absolutely, like I would love to do a marathon 1, 2, and Afterlife. I think we'll do that right before we'll go see Frozen Empire.
Yeah, for sure.
I was gonna say definitely that would definitely be the move to do it right before Frozen Empire. I was gonna ask, I feel like it's already been answered a little bit here, but how do we all feel about Ghostbusters 2? Because I grew up with my dad saying, oh, it's not as good as the first one. So I always had like a negative connotation from it, just I guess of the world's perception, because my dad was my movie guru growing up. But like I always really enjoyed 2. I thought that 2 was a lot of fun. I really like the goo. I like everything about it.
Yeah, 2 is your favorite, isn't it? Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think that it's the perfect mix of horror and comedy.
And I was gonna say it has more horror.
It
to
goes
it.
darker for sure.
Yeah.
Listen, in part 2, when Janosch is on the bike and he grabs the baby off the balcony, holy
or she gets
shit!
sucked, like into the closet. Part.
Yes,
like
or the part where when Vigo first steps out of the painting and he's like almost like a mimic, and he's like moving like that. That scared me so bad as a kid. Or when Ray turns into Vigo and he turns around, he's got like that pig face.
Yeah.
When they're in the bathtub and the ooze is coming out of the bathtub and trying to go after the baby.
It's definitely darker.
Oh man, when Janosch is walking through the hallway with the flashlight eyes, like, dude, I could talk about Ghostbusters 2 for days. I was in a band called Hearts Bleed Black from the time I was 12 until I was probably 19. It encapsulated all of my teenage years. The very last song we wrote was called Dr. Venkman Go, The Joyfulness Is Over. That was the last song we ever wrote as a band. Like, that's how much Ghostbusters 2 meant to me. Like, that's easily, and I love Ghostbusters. Where do these stairs go? They go up. I love Ghostbusters, but Ghostbusters 2 is my favorite in the franchise, and I get a lot of people don't like it, and I don't get why.
Yeah.
I think it's terrifying, and you got all the OG cast coming back. Rick Moranis is even more over the top in Ghostbusters 2. Like, I'm just a huge fan of that movie. They play with the Nintendo. They got the Nintendo controller when they're controlling the Statue of Liberty. Like, dude, Cheech from Cheech and Chong is in it.
Yeah.
We're looking at the Titanic just arrived.
It's definitely underrated for sure.
Thank you for your love of Ghostbusters 2, because nobody else likes that movie.
Right.
Yeah, I got to revisit them before I saw Afterlife, but I want to move on from Ghostbusters. We do have a lot of movies to discuss. So, Luke, I'm going to throw it over to you with Late Night with the Devil, which I do have to say this is one I'm very much looking forward to.
Yeah, this is one that's been bouncing around a lot lately, where it's hit the festival circuit, and then we've been hearing a lot of positive things for it, and we weren't really sure when it was going to be released, but it looks like IFC and Shudder picked it up for some sort of distribution in the US. So
we were this close at Toronto After Dark, that close to being able to see it, but they didn't do virtual, so I was like,
just missed it by that much. But so that one, I don't even know if it has a hard release date yet. I saw one, but then I've heard some conflicting things. So I'm excited for this one. This one, again, I'm not, a lot of people on our channel know I'm not the biggest found footage horror fan, but I'm kind of finding my way after the Outwaters last year. And I know that they said this has kind of got that found footage spin. And I'm really curious because, like, the late 70s is such a great time period when you try to replicate it for horror. And then, David Dashmalshin, gosh, the guy doesn't miss lately. So to kind of have that film on his shoulders, I mean, the subject matter aside, I mean, this stuff... that already sold me, but the idea that they have behind this is really intriguing to me.
David, I can't say his last name, but that's the guy from, like, The Boogeyman.
Yep.
Yes.
He was the guy from The Dark Knight that everybody recognized. So, love that guy.
Yeah.
He was in Prisoners, too.
Yes.
That guy,
love Prisoners.
So good, man.
Yeah, this is one that has, like I said, it eluded us at festivals. We were so close to seeing it there, and I was crossing my fingers that we get to, but unfortunately didn't make it. But I'm really looking forward to it. Shudder has been killing it, I think, the last 2 years with a lot of their exclusives. Like, they're just picking up so many solid releases between them and Screenbox. It's like we're so spoiled at home, just like we have been at the theater. So yeah, I don't know if that one was like on your guys' radar as much as like some of our
looking at it when we get off here, actually.
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. I highly recommend getting into it because I think it's going to be. I think a lot of people are going to really like it because I've heard nothing but good things.
What's it called?
Late Night with the Devil.
Okay.
And then we'll move on to one of my picks, which was The Strangers, Chapter 1. So I saw the first Strangers when I was pretty young. My parents rented it from Blockbuster, and that was one that was. I kind of. I definitely don't know why I was allowed to stay in the living room to watch it, but I did, and it was cool. It didn't scare me as much as a kid, but I think it was just because it was like, oh, it's just creepy guys in a mask. Because I was young, I was pretty young when that came out, so it was like not till I got much older and saw the movie again, where I was like, yeah, it's kind of fucked up. Like these guys are not just scary people in masks. They're brutal serial killers, and I never saw Strangers Pray at Night. I hear a lot of good things about it, but I didn't check it out. So this really intrigues me that they're doing a trilogy, and supposedly the rumor is, and I can't see this confirmed anywhere, but a few people have said it that I trust, that they're apparently going to be doing kind of like a Pearl Max or Pearl and X thing, where they're going to release all 3 chapters this year, which I think is crazy. I'm so excited for that. If that's
I've heard that too, but then I've heard another one that they're going to do
like one
every May. May is the other thing that I heard. They're going to be released annually in May. Again, I don't know if that's confirmed, because I've heard the same thing as you, that all 3 are scheduled to be released this year.
Yeah.
But just like you, I cannot find any hardcore evidence that that's the case. So I don't want to go out and say this is how it's going to be, but I'm always really down when we hear that they're releasing a trilogy. I never like it.
Yeah.
Never like it. I always want to see the first film and see the success before we move on, but something about The Strangers feels like it could be a really well done trilogy.
I like how they're doing like the chapters, though. I think that's pretty cool.
You could also make the argument that it could be one full movie.
Well, I mean, if it's chapters, they might, go.
I don't know if you guys heard this, but they filmed all of it at one time.
Yeah.
Yes. That was the other thing I was going to bring up. That's what gives me a lot of confidence in this, is because, like Ashley said, I think it's in chapters for a reason. So it's going to be, like you guys were saying, one full movie, and it's going to be something where it's like, it makes sense to me to have it come out in quick succession. And I think that that's a pretty fun trend. Like I was saying, even if it's, like you said, May would be fine. But even if we got this one in May, and say we got, another one in maybe July, and then another one in October, that would be like perfect. I feel like that would just like be almost leading us up to, Halloween, the spooky season. And that would be great. Luke, your thoughts on The Strangers? I know you and I have talked a little bit about it off screen, but I feel like we haven't touched much on it on the channel so far.
The Strangers, for me, when did that come out? Was that mid 2000s?
06, 05?
06? Okay.
Maybe?
Because like for me, like growing up, I always had the original Halloween. I always had that connector piece of Halloween too. But like for me, looking at The Strangers, I always enjoyed it because I think that was my first kind of viewing in horror where the actual motivation, there's like a void of motivation where it just is like, why are you doing this? Because you're home. And I really like that because sometimes there's an over explanation of that motivation, when this one was just like, it's a series of events. So like for me, that's what I walked away with that one. It was like, how badass is it that they just answered the door and now you're dead.
The target.
Yep. So, looking at what they're going to do here, I would absolutely love if they are going to release them in succession like that, maybe all 3 in 1 year, because of the idea of that original of there is no real motivation to it. I would almost love if we had a main character that made it to the end of the first one and then they're killed in the second one and then they just move to the next house, and it's just kind of this continuation of hey, it doesn't really matter, it's a relay race of whose lights on now. So I hope they keep that theme regardless of what they do, because that first one, I think that lack of motivation is what makes that one so scary and timeless for me.
Yeah, no, I think that it's going to be rather exciting no matter what they do. But we're going to move on to Ken's pick here of the American version of Speak No Evil. And I did not see Speak No Evil. I haven't seen it yet. Luke, I know we just talked about it. You said you saw it or did not see it?
Oh, I saw it. Okay.
I heard a lot of things. I heard that it's really messed up and that it'll make you very uncomfortable. We saw a movie at Fantastic Fest called The Uncle that it basically gave me the same idea of like, just going to make me feel terrible. So I've been kind of holding off on it. But yes, I'll let you guys take the floor on Speak No Evil here.
I'm trying to think of the best way to word this. I hate this movie. Like, I hate the movie. But for weeks after we watched it, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Now, when I say I hate the movie, I'm not saying it's a bad. It's a fantastic made movie. It's brutal. It's brutal. It's dark. It's twisted. Beautiful cinematography. But as a parent, I'm like, there's no way I would ever let this. The movie would have ended about 25 minutes in. Yeah. If that was me and my kids. And they just signed. I'm trying to figure out who it was. That's their lead actor in the movie. James McAvoy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He is going to be great in that role.
He is an actor.
Yes, yes. And again, I don't want to say anything about Speak No Evil because it'll ruin the experience.
Yeah.
This is a movie you have to go into blind.
Sure.
But if people hear, it's a foreign film, it's in English. You know, you don't have subtitles. You know, like you can watch it in English. And it's just, like I said, there's just so many points of this movie where you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it will make you
What
mad.
are you doing?
It will definitely make you mad.
And I think that we're going to get, with the American version, my hopes are up just because of how much I enjoyed this. Obviously, they're going to sanitize it because it's Blumhouse and Universal.
It's not going to be as brutal.
So it won't be as brutal as the foreign version. But I still think, especially with James McAvoy, they can make a damn good film.
For sure.
If it's even partway on par, because like I said, when I stopped after this movie was over, we were still talking about it weeks later. You know, and I think that when a movie can burrow into you and make you want to continue to talk about whether it's good or bad, the way it made you feel, the movie did its job.
Right.
They did what they set out to do, and they made that movie burrow into my brain and just like, you were in the car, man. You were in the car. Like, what? Why?
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's just, again, I don't want to talk about any specific scenes just because if any of your viewers haven't seen it, guys, and gals, I strongly recommend checking out Speak No Evil. Trigger warning, it is dark.
It's dark. And
there's
a jump scare that literally made me pee my pants.
There's no essay in the movie. But yeah, there's parts of this movie where you're just like, you got to think about your kid at this point. Now, I don't care about being polite. I don't care about, it's not like, what was that? Where Evil Lurks?
When Evil Lurks.
When Evil Lurks. Like it's, I think it like that. I think we'll eventually get an American remake as well.
Probably.
But
Not. That was my favorite movie of last year. It's perfect as is.
Yeah.
And I think it's great, but I think the explosion of streaming has really helped us to find these foreign films that are really, really great movies. I'm not gonna lie. I saw The Ring long before I saw Ringu.
Yeah. For sure.
Like I'm not gonna be one of those people like I saw Ringu first. The hell I did. I saw The Ring and I saw Ringu and I was like, damn, this is great too.
Yeah.
And I'm just hoping that's what we get with Speak No Evil. I'm hoping that we get this movie that we're just so excited about because of how well done it was. To where we don't have to be like, well, I hope we don't get a wreck/quarantine.
Yeah.
That's what I don't want. Don't water it down to that point. But again, it's Blumhouse and Universal. We know how Blumhouse is. They're very hit or miss. And Blumhouse to me is more miss when it comes to their extreme rated R stuff. They're pretty hit when it comes to the PG-13. The Megans, Truth or Dare, I thought was fine. Those movies, they're fine. But when you get to the extreme stuff, you're like, you could have been a little harder on that. So, Speak No Evil, the American remake. And again, if you guys haven't seen it, and Dylan, you got to watch this movie. And right after you watch it, you got to text me.
I will.
Let me know what you thought of it. I'm super stoked to see your opinion on it.
I will watch it before we go see this new one for sure. It sounds, from the way you're describing it, obviously, even though it is my favorite film of the year, When Evil Lurks, being a new dad, that was tough. That was a very tough scene. I've heard nothing but this is going to wreck me as a new dad, and Luke has said some similar things. But I do want to say the movie we saw, The Uncle, Luke, would this compare to that? Would that probably make me feel that way? Because the way you described that, Ken, that's exactly how I felt about this movie we saw called The Uncle. Oh my God, just grimy, great movie. Shot beautifully, perfect story, but no.
Yeah, without spoiling it, the main thing is how far are you willing to go to stay polite?
Yeah.
How far do you have to get pushed? Because I'm a very kind person. I'm a very polite person, but
people are so hard. They're so scared to hurt other people's feelings, and I feel like that's what this is. Yeah.
I don't want people to look at me as a jerk.
What am I going to put myself through to make them feel more comfortable?
Right.
So. Yeah, and I definitely feel you there. But Luke, how do you feel about that one compared to The Uncle? You think rougher or right on par?
It's the only comparison that I can actually make because I had that feeling as well. And we already talked about When Evil Lurks, but like looking at The Uncle, and then which is also a foreign film, and then Speak No Evil. There's this. I don't know. I think foreign films are able to capture this almost awkward tension that a lot of American films miss the mark on. I think that's my hesitation for, the remake, the American version coming out, just because I don't know if they have that finesse that we get when we see a lot of these foreign films. And the one thing I wanted to ask you guys, because, you said, it'll probably be sanitized to a certain extent. And, with the ending there, I think a lot of times when we look at these more American films, you kind of have this build up, and then, you kind of get this resolution where it's like, okay, now I'm comfortable for the credits to roll. And with this one, I think you kind of just get this, oh my gosh, and then it just kind of ends. So it's like, do you think they're going to at least take that idea and try to meld it in some fashion? Because like for me, like if you put me in a theater and I watched Speak No Evil right now with a bunch of people, I don't know what that reaction's going to be, with everyone, where it's like, it's just going to be, I can see the credits rolling. It's just going to be silence almost, where it's like, I don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to lose the effectiveness of the original when we get to the American version? I don't know.
I think that they're definitely going to change the ending, and I'll say that for two reasons. One, I think they're going to try to throw a curveball at us because they know the reason they're doing an American remake on this movie is because of how popular the foreign film was. Yeah. So I do not seeing them do a shot-for-shot remake on this because they know that it's going to lose a lot for the people that have already seen it. I've already seen this. I don't need to go in and see this again. I could see them doing like they did with Goodnight Mommy, where there's differences in the movie. And I don't think that ending would work with an American audience. I think that people would be like, you can't end a movie like that. That's too brutal. For a mainstream American audience. I think that a lot of the mainstream, because if people are going to hear Blumhouse, they're going to think The Exorcist. They're going to think Halloween. They're going to think Megan. And then they're going to go see this and go, what? Like, what did I just see?
That's a little too much.
Yeah, and the ending of this movie, again, we can't say anything about the ending, but the ending is not happy. It is not a happy ending.
All right. Well, I will definitely be checking it out, and I will text you, Ken, when I do watch it. We'll probably, I think at this point, we'll cement a review in there. I think that'll be nice and fun for me to torture myself through another uncomfortable watch, but I'm down. I'm always here for it. Moving on to one that I'm also deeply excited about. We did a video, but this was on Luke's top of his list, The Wolfman. Luke, I mean, I already know, so why don't you fill us in and fill these guys in the audience? How are we feeling about The Wolfman?
Well, a lot of people on our channel know that we are definite werewolf guys. So, looking at the original Wolfman, it's an all-time classic. It's Universal monsters. You can't beat them. Yeah. And then this one's just been, we had the Invisible Man, Lee Whannell, and now coming back, we got the news that he's going to be directing the Wolfman in 2024, which, got Dylan and I both excited to see, how he's going to be able to modernize it like he did with the Invisible Man. And, Christopher Abbott already attached. That guy, I can put on a performance of a lifetime. I'm a big Ryan Gosling fan, but I'm really excited to see Christopher Abbott take over and see what they're going to do. And, we don't really have too much in terms of details out there right now, but 2024 is going to be a good year when we're going to see, without question, a werewolf in the theater. So it's already a win.
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel about the Wolfman? Are you guys looking forward to this one?
I am. I'm just hoping that like the werewolf transformation is like as cool as
practical
as like the OG, because I think it's awesome in the OG.
Because even the OG one, like how it's just like a time lapse.
And it keeps like going back.
Yeah. If we can, I don't want an American Werewolf in Paris.
No.
Type of werewolf transformation.
Like that's what I look forward to the most in a werewolf movie.
Is seeing the transformation.
Yes.
And like I said, I was super stoked to see Gosling. I mean, we're both huge.
Yeah.
That's her hall pass.
It is.
We're both huge Gosling fans. He's my hall pass as well.
Same here.
But but Abbott, I think, is a really good replacement. I think that if anybody could step in and get me just as excited as Gosling could, it would be him. And like you were saying, Luke, the way that Lee Whannell did the Invisible Man blew her away. I was working, and her and my son went and seen it, and she was like, "Babe, yes, You need to watch. I was never into he was my least favorite of the Universals because
Yeah.
he was
he was a bad guy.
he was he committed he had dreams of committing SA.
Yeah.
And that to me is my trigger. That's the thing where I'm like, no. And she was like, babe, it's not like that. This is very modernized. And Jackson Leonard Cohen, I think that's his name. I thought he was great as the Invisible Man. Elizabeth Moss was great.
She was, yeah.
She's awesome.
Yes.
I'm super stoked to see what Oliver Jackson Cohen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think you're right. I think that's right. Yeah.
Right.
I'm thinking of the singer Leonard Cohen. But yeah, Oliver Jackson Cohen. He was just fantastic in that. So yeah, I'm super stoked. I'm talking way too much, but yeah, I'm very excited for the look, man.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I love Gosling. I mean, everybody said it here, but I really like Derek Cianfrance as a director as well. He did Place Beyond the Pines, Blue Valentine, and The Light Between Oceans. Love all those movies. And he's, worked with Gosling twice, so it's like they're a perfect team together. But, honestly, seeing Lee Whannell step back into this Universal Monsters thing, the thing I'm kind of hoping for is that if they knock this out of the park, I know when Invisible Man came out, everybody was like, Lee Whannell is going to be able to do this. He's going to be able to bring all of the Universal Monsters forth with a team and actually give us a proper Universal Monsters like resurgence. I'm kind of hoping that this is his second shot at that, because obviously with the pandemic and everything, it got put on the back burner. And I'm really hoping that this is him coming back to the plate to say, okay, let's get the ball back up and rolling. Horror is bigger now. Let's just do it. And that's ultimately what I'm looking forward to, is to seeing the reception. But I am right there with you guys. I want a practical transformation. I just want there to be an actual good werewolf on screen. I don't need a twist like how the Invisible Man went for more science fiction with the, well, I guess science fiction is there too, but I want a real werewolf. I don't want some kind of like, it's in my head or whatever. So I'm hoping for that. Mm-hmm. But why don't we hop into another one of Luke's picks here, Alien Romulus. Yes, this is one I know after Prey, we're feeling much more positive about these Hulu-inspired Alien and Predator films.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, without question. Prey was probably one of the biggest wins we had last year. Me being just an absolute Predator fan. I mean, I was waiting for just a knockout of the park, and we easily got it last year. So Alien, I'm so glad to get this one, in here. Fede Alvarez tackling this one, where it's taking place, I think, between Alien and Aliens.
Yes, they did confirm that.
A pretty big gap. I'm excited to see what they're going to do. I had seen something out there that, I don't think it was confirmed in terms of the story, but one of the pitches out there was that it potentially is a bunch of young thieves that encounter a xenomorph during a heist, which would be a definitely interesting concept if that it does actually, translate onto the screen. But, this one, I am really excited to see. They said they're going to lean more into horror. So us, obviously, no one on this channel is going to have their arm twisted to lean into horror. So I really want to get those, those classic horror beats, that tension that the original has, but also the fun action that Aliens does have as well. I think Fede Alvarez, with Don't Breathe, he was able to really build a lot of tension with that one. So I think he's the guy to do it. A lot of positive stuff. Again, with Prey being a big win, getting on track here, I'm excited to see what the Xenomorphs are going to do this year.
I was literally just about to say that what you described as that plot is like Don't Breathe with an alien instead of a blind guy. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Just please simplify it. That was my biggest problem with the last two Alien films. They were so complicated.
Yeah.
Just go back to simple, atmospheric, one alien, one xenomorph, scaring the hell out of people. Give me that feeling again. That claustrophobic feeling of I'm trapped somewhere with this unknown thing. I can't get away from it. And I'm sold. And Fede Alvarez, like you said, Don't Breathe, Evil Dead, give it to me now.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm really looking forward to that one there. And then Ashley, were you gonna say something there? I feel like I cut you off.
No, you're good. I just said I agreed with that. Like, I was never really a huge Predator or Alien fan growing up like that. Like, I kind of looked over that, I guess, a little bit. And Prey brought me in. So I'm excited to see what this one will do.
That literally did the same thing for my wife. They were aware of all of that. they had seen some of it because their mom is a huge like sci-fi fan, so it's like we bond on that. But yeah, Prey, I was watching it for like the third time that weekend, and I had it on, and they're very much into like indigenous culture, history, things like that. So they're watching this, and they're like sitting there like, this is all like really well done. Like, what's going on here? And I'm talking about like the midsection. So like they haven't seen the Predator. Like we saw the ship come down, and that was it. And then she didn't see that part. So then she's just watching it. She's like, "What are you watching?" And I'm just like, "This is Prey." She's like, "Oh, all right, cool. I'm gonna watch it." And then the Predator shows up. She's like, "Well, it's still cool." Like, and we ended up watching the whole thing. And that was the first time. Yep, I that was the first time I had ever had them like get excited about an Alien or a Predator film. So
yeah,
I just wish we could have got a theatrical experience with it.
Oh yeah.
That would have been like an IMAX.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been a great movie to see on a huge screen. Oh man, it'd been so dope.
Yeah, but it
I'm
still was.
thinking there'll be a re-release, if not before Alien here. I'm thinking that they're going to do it before the next Predator, whatever that may be. So I think that's what the plan is for that. That's what I would put money on. But moving on from that, we have Ashley's pick here of Imaginary. So let us know how you feel about Imaginary.
So I'm excited because the trailer, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Z. It's a Shudder original, but it's kind of like on the same aspect. It's got an imaginary friend. And so it reminds me of that a lot with the little bear Chauncey. And so I'm just excited. It looks creepy. Like I like when they use like inanimate objects and like children's like toys and stuff. Yeah, to like make things scary. So yeah, I think the trailer looks good. So yeah, I'm excited for that one.
I would say this reminds me of a mix between Z and Megan.
Yeah.
Is what this movie reminds me of.
You want to pause for a second?
No, you're good.
Okay, cool. Just making sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you guys, just so I know, do you want me to cut it? Do you want me to cut them out? Because I don't know if you guys are cool with having kids on.
No,
stuff like that.
Dude, it's fine. Like we put them on our social media all the time. She just popped in for a second. You guys saw how beautiful she makes children. So
yeah,
I appreciate you asking, but yeah, no, yeah, and like Z. If you guys haven't seen that, have you guys seen Z?
I have not. I've heard of it though. It was one that did catch my interest when it had originally come out on DVD. I was working at a used media store and it came in, and I love the cover. It looks really creepy.
Yeah,
so.
I would another Shudder original that we would strongly recommend.
It's very creepy.
You know, the director sent us a trailer on X or Twitter or whatever, and we were like, "Whoa, let's check this out." We watched it, and it was just like, "Wow."
Yeah.
Like, and I think if you take that and you mix it with Megan, that's the vibes I'm getting from Imaginary, and those are two movies I like a lot. So sign me up. I'm in.
Yeah, we liked Megan quite a bit, more so than I think we thought we would. And that was one of those ones that, like, looking at Imaginary here, number one, I just love the name Chauncey for the bear. Like, I'm all for it. But like, I like the concept here. This is one of those ones again. It is Blumhouse. I really like the concept for Night Swim, so I hope I'm not disappointed by that. But they just left a bad taste in my mouth recently, so I'll stay positive because again, I like the idea of like this monster like entity living within this bear. Like it's really cool to me, and I really think that if they play their cards right, they could really get under my skin with it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
When Blumhouse hits, they hit a home run. When they miss, it's an ugly strikeout. So that's how I feel. There's really never any mid Blumhouse movies. It's either a hit or a miss. So.
And Luke, I know you were looking forward to Imaginary when we first got the press release from one of the PR people that we are linked with.
Oh yeah, we were, like Dylan said, we were pleased with Megan when it came out, and I didn't really know necessarily what to make of Megan just from the trailer. I wasn't sure if it was just going to be this kind of fad that they were capitalizing on, but I think that had some pretty good elements of terror in it. So when Imaginary popped up, me being a huge Child's Play fan, anytime we kind of get into that kind of those elements of possessed toys or anything like that, and just the idea of everyone here being a parent, where it's like almost preying on children and their imagination, I think that really strikes a nerve with everybody. So I think this one from the outside can look like comparable to Megan in a sense, but I think there could be a really deep dark story intertwined here. But like where like Ken said, it's always Blumhouse's hit or miss. So it's like
Yeah.
I'm hoping for the best here because the trailer did sell me all the poster work, everything like that. It has all the elements that I want to enjoy. I want to go in and love that movie. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna go in probably swayed a little more positive, but I really hope they don't pull a nice swim on us.
I think we're due for a good Blumhouse movie. It's been a couple, at least in our opinion.
Yeah.
It's been a few duds in a row, so I think it's about time we get a good one. So,
I
but
agree.
why don't we hop on over to the next one, which is my number one, which is Nosferatu. I mean, I won't. I'll talk for days. Our buddy Evan over at Rockland Graves, him, Luke, and I, we constantly talk about this film whenever we're all in a chat room together or whatever. But like, this is just, I love Robert Eggers. I mean, The Witch was one of those films. It's a rare experience. The last time I think this happened to me was with Luke and Skinamarink, where I'm in a theater, I'm seeing this movie. I went with a group of friends and my wife, and I was the only person to walk out of that theater that had anything positive to say. Like, there were people literally going like, "Oh, that was so stupid. I hated that." And I'm just sitting there like, "That was good." And all my friends are like, "No, dude, you're just, you're a film person. You're artsy. You're an auteur, whatever." And I'm just like, "No, it was good, guys. I like that." And then obviously The Lighthouse was great, and The Northman was my favorite film of 2022. That was
See, the
not
movie.
horrible. Oh, The Northman's so good. Luke still has
We
to
haven't
see it
seen
too.
it.
I've been getting
Everybody
on him
says
about it.
such good things about it.
Mhm.
So good, so good. But yeah, so tell me, are you guys? So obviously you guys are fans of Eggers. What would you
Mhm.
say is your favorite from his catalog so far?
My favorite is Lighthouse for sure.
Yeah, I would say it's either The Lighthouse or The Vivitch.
The Vintage is good
I know
too.
that you like The
Vivid.
Vivitch.
I do.
Again, I think that the thing that I respect the most about Eggers, it's hard for me to, like with you, it's hard for me to pick between The Lighthouse and The Witch because
It's
the
tough.
historical accuracy of both of these,
Mhm.
like how far he goes to make sure everything is perfect and accurate. He's what I respect the most in a
Mhm.
director, and who better to make a Nosferatu movie
Oh yeah,
than him?
for sure.
That's like grilled cheese and hot pepper flakes, baby. Like that goes together perfectly. Very excited to see because that he's not going to try to modernize it. I don't think. I think he's going to keep it in the time frame where it was, and it's going to be historically accurate. It's going to be beautiful looking. And Skarsgård playing Nosferatu.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he'll kill it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I'm in, man. Like
Mhm.
I'm in. Hopefully we'll get a scene where he's turning a light switch on and off.
Like SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Nosferatu.
Yeah, I'm super stoked on Nosferatu. I think it's going to be great. I
Yeah.
think it's really going to be good.
Yeah, I'm definitely big on it. Luke, you want to say your piece on Nosferatu there?
I mean, I'm absolutely excited. I love the Wolfman's already on my list. We just talked about Invisible Man. I love that they're kind of these universal monsters in a sense are kind of getting a second life. They're kind of bringing them into the modern era here. And Robert Eggers, I mean, the guy knocks everything out of the park. My love for Black Phillip aside, I think the Lighthouse is just a masterpiece for me from a stylistic perspective. I deep dove into that screenplay when it was available, and then just the dialogue choices, the acting. I mean, gosh. So like this one, the cast is shaped up very nicely. Like Ken said, Skarsgård, like the guy doesn't have to say a word if he doesn't need to. So I think that one. I'm fully expecting some sort of cinematic feast on this one. I can't see it not being that. So I think performance-wise, everything we've seen from some of the stills, I just look exciting. I think he's got that period down, and I'm excited to see his spin on it. We've seen the original Nosferatu that's been around for 100 years, and so I'm excited to see what he's going to do, what those changes he's going to do to bring it to the screen here, because I think this one, like a lot of the films we're talking about for 2024, I think are going to end up being very timeless, where we're going to go back and we're going to watch them for the next decade upon decades, because there's a lot of exciting stuff in 2024 already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and unfortunately we got to wait a whole year for it, but I got to say, being the only person here who's seen The Northman, it's awesome, it's epic, but my heart of hearts is always going to be The Lighthouse. I got that A24 Blu-ray here. It also has the screenplay in it. It's wonderful. Highly recommend if you guys don't own it to pick it up, because lots of good little bites in there to check out. Of just, I love their little packages they put together for that. But for the sake of time, we'll move forward. Now, Ken, you said something about this that really intrigued me with your pick here of Saw 11. So like that was something where you said that it was something along the lines of after this past year, this one is one of your more anticipated ones. So I take it you weren't a big Saw fan before the most recent one.
Huge Saw fan. I'm a
Okay,
huge
gotcha.
But when we were going into Saw X, I was not excited because I'm not a prequel guy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Especially with horror. I kind of know who's safe. I kind of know who's not. That takes a lot of the anxiety out of it for me. A lot of the tension is gone because I have a feeling of who's going to bite it and who's not. So it's hard for me to get excited about a prequel. And then Saw X just blew me away. Like, Saw X did what Pearl did. You know, like you going into it, I'm like, horror prequel, you know, and then you watch it and I was just like, wow. Like, this made me feel for John Kramer. And to be able to continue that story a year later, they're going like when they first started doing the Saw movies, you know, and you had one every single year, like clockwork.
Yeah. Not even a year, like less than a year, to be honest.
I'm bummed that Josh, the writer Josh, I'm bummed he's not coming back.
Yeah.
But again, like before I had seen Saw X, the only Saw movie I've ever seen that I was not a fan of was Jigsaw.
Yeah.
That's the only one I saw that I was like, I could do without this. Besides that, I love the Saw franchise. It's in my top 5 easily. But again, when I'm like, you know, this is a money grab. They just want to bring Amanda and John back for, you know, stylistic reasons and for the fan base to come out and be like, oh, we get to see John and Amanda again. And then I watched it and I was just like, wow, they really, really nailed it. And I talk about this every time. So I know for time's sake, we don't have a lot, but I just got to throw it out there. Our good friend of ours, Celise, Sweet and Spooky, she put something on Twitter right after Saw X came out and I couldn't stop laughing. She was like, can you imagine John calling Amanda back in New Jersey? Like, you need to get Billy and bring him down to Mexico right now. We have an important issue we have to take care of right now down in Mexico.
Stop your haircut.
Yeah, stop your haircut right now. Okay, John, I'm coming. You know, she's going through customs with this, you know, puppet. Like, it was just the funniest thing I'd ever seen. That made me watch the movie different. But after seeing that, I was like, give me more.
Yeah.
Give me more of this. Bring Hoffman back, please. You know, let me see, like, the connection of Hoffman and, you know, Jigsaw and Amanda. Like, let me see all of them together for an extended amount of time. I'm in. I'm so in. Very excited about this flick.
Yeah. I was definitely on the fence. Like, you know, Saw was one of those franchises I very much grew up with. You know, so it's like I have a little bit of a soft spot for it in some places, but admittedly, it's never been like my favorite of the slasher kind of horror series. But yeah, Saw X was definitely what I was looking for in a reinvigoration of the franchise there. I know Luke and I kind of disagreed on that. He is a much harder sell when it comes to the Saw films. But Luke, how are you feeling about the next one with that? Are you still kind of on the fence? Or are you looking forward to this at all?
You know, I'm always open to anything that they're going to put on the plate. For me, the original Saw film, that feeling you get at the end of that one, for me, just absolutely did it. It's great filmmaking. You know, it's something that is absolutely timeless. I did go back to that first film. When Saw X was announced and they were kind of messing with, oh, this is taking place in between these two events. And I was like, it feels like it was shoehorned. And, you know, I went into that one hoping for something completely different, something new and fresh. And unfortunately, I don't feel like I got it. It was just something where it was like, as we were getting into that film, I felt like we were playing a lot of the beats of what we had previously gotten. And, you know, in a world where every Disney villain has a backstory and we need to feel for that villain, I think in 2023 for me, I was just like tapping out, where it's like, you know, I just need them to be villains. I don't need the sympathy aspect of it. So, you know, going into Saw 11, I'm definitely intrigued. I don't know if they've released any synopsis of what that's going to be. I do want a fresh feeling, like, you know, that the writer leaving, like someone like a Kayla Cooper who did Malignant and Megan, where it is something where it's like, those are really different, unique stories. I would love for like someone like her to come in, or someone that is going to kind of take the Saw idea and breathe new life into it. Give me something completely different, something where I forget almost that I'm watching a Saw film until someone cuts off their own fingers or something. So I'm intrigued. I want to see what Saw 11 is going to look like. Just Saw X didn't do it for me, but I think there's a lot of potential in the Saw franchise. I think there's something, there's unique stories to be told, and there's obviously way more graphic traps to use. So I'm intrigued to see what they're going to bring to it, and what it comes out. Is it October or is it September?
I believe it's October. I thought it was a year. September,
Yeah.
end of September. I think it was. Yeah.
Yep,
I think they like literally are keeping almost the same date, like a day apart or something.
Okay, and I mean,
So-
regardless, I think it's a great kickoff to the Halloween season. So I'll be there in the theater opening night.
I was definitely impressed. Ashley, I'm curious. Are you as big a Saw fan as Ken, or is this more of a kind of a shared? You've grown on it.
No, I've always loved the Saw franchise. I really like gore, and
Fair.
I'm definitely into the gore aspect of it. So.
She's definitely the gore horror of the two of us. I'm like the love story guy. It's like we're the total opposite of how it should be.
Yeah.
She's definitely more into the blood and guts, and I'm more into like, are they gonna fall in love?
Amanda and John.
Perfect. Now that transitions us beautifully, actually, then into one of my picks, which was Terrifier 3.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about the Terrifier series? I've seen your videos, but I just want you guys to say it. So tell us about the Terrifier series with you guys.
Again, I like Terrifier also. I love the gore of it. The second one, I think we've said this a couple of different times, but it was a little longer. It probably could have been easily shaved like 45 minutes off of the movie. But I love Art the Clown. He doesn't say a word, and he has the best personality
David
out of like most villains. So I'm excited. Plus, I'm excited that it's like during Christmas time.
Yes.
I love Christmas horror, and like him dressed as Santa. Like, I'm excited for that.
Yeah. I'm gonna everything she said. I loved the second movie. Not as much as the first. I think I liked the first a little more. The second one got a little too fantastical for me, and it was a little long. I could do without the fantasy stuff and the all that. I could have done without, but I'm so proud of that team for what they were able to do with Terrifier 2. The budget they had to come out and release the movie they had and have the theatrical drive that they had, that's incredible. Like, that is mind-blowing, and what an honor. What a cool thing to happen for the horror community. So I'm hoping we can replicate that with Terrifier 3.
Yeah.
It shows if you have a unique story, an original story, and you make a great horror movie, people are going to watch you. Skinamarink, you said it. It was one of the most polarizing films of last year. But look at the money that movie made, off what it was filmed on versus what it made. Good job, TikTok. People TikTok did Megan and Skinamarink, and look what it did. It's bringing in new horror fans. Don't shun it. Welcome them in. If TikTok gets people to come and watch horror, yes, good. That's what we want.
Right.
So, thank God it did that for Skinamarink. Again, polarizing. I like it. She's like, I don't ever have to watch that again. But again, whether you love it or hate it, you got to respect what they did.
Absolutely.
Great job to that team. Terrifier 2, Skinamarink, nothing but love and respect for what those films were able to do. Love what they did.
Oh, yeah. And I know Luke and I have our famous story. We've rehashed it way too many times of driving up there. We did twofer because it came out the same day as Hellraiser. So we literally drove up there, saw it. That was 2-3 hours. Then all the way back down to our house, shot the review, stayed up, watched Hellraiser till 3 a.m., shot the review, and then I didn't go to work the next day, thankfully. I had the foresight to take it off, but Luke, he trooped through it. He went to work.
Oh,
look at that.
Yeah.
So
I got an hour of sleep. I was good.
Which infamously, you don't need much sleep. I'm very jealous, but I mean, like we've talked about it a ton. It's the fact that it's a Christmas movie. The fact that it's just Terrifier. It's like, yeah, dude, like I'm all for it. Like, Luke, give me your piece on Terrifier 3 just as a whole.
I'm absolutely excited. I think the Terrifier franchise is like the little engine that could, where it's something where it's such a small property when you're comparing it to Michael Myers or Ghostface. It's
Mhm.
putting its head down and swinging for the fences, and I think it's got a huge fan base. It's left a lasting impression. And Terrifier 3, I'm a huge holiday horror fan, so
Oh yeah.
as soon as we got that teaser, and it was going to be Christmas time, hey, Art the Clown delivering presents. I am more than excited for this one. So
I'm just
it's
super
got
offended they acted like they were killing a kid.
Yeah, right.
the outrage.
I argued
Until
with
they see
people.
Speak No
He
Evil.
killed Santa. He took Santa's suit.
Either way,
Yeah.
man, they've been killing kids and horror since the beginning of time. Shut the hell up. Frankenstein drowned a little girl. Man.
Yeah,
Shut the hell up. Stop being outraged over everything, man.
I did a video talking about that controversy and just why I think like shock horror. There's a difference between shock horror and what Terrifier is doing. And like I was just getting completely destroyed in our comment section about that, where people are just like, oh no, it's just like child murder, it's all this stuff. It's like, guys, like seriously, it's kids. Did you not watch the video? Which clearly they didn't, because at one point I put up all these little movie posters of all the movies that kids died in, like My Girl and all that stuff, Dirge Terabithia. It's like, yeah, all these films, like children died, like get over it. All right.
Frankenstein drowned a little girl. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Like, stop. Again, I'm very sensitive to people's reactions and people's feelings, but that's a little extreme for me.
Mhm.
It's a movie. The kid's fine. I guarantee you, being on sets where we've killed kids, the kids love it.
Right.
They love it. That's so much fun for them. So chill. They had a great time.
I know. I've murdered my wife in a few of my short films through high school and everything a few times, and I know it'll be time for my son at some point as he's growing up. So, alrighty. So we got to move on to the big gun here. The one I think we've all been waiting for. I think everybody here is really looking forward to this. Clearly, I know you guys are big Ty West X trilogy fans. So, Maxine, I mean, Mia Goth is an absolute gem among gems. Like, truly, I think the modern day like queen of horror. Like, I know that gets passed around a lot, but she's just been so consistent in things even outside of this that it's like I got to give it to her. But like Maxine, I'll let you guys, since it was on both your lists, take it away. I mean, yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah. So from what we've heard, it's going to be the most brutal. It's kind of like a more whodunit and
Giallo-esque.
Giallo-esque. Yeah. And like you said, Mia Goth, it's chef's kiss. After X, like I grew this like obsession with her. And I just know if anybody can pull off this like brutal, really gory, it's her. So yeah.
Kevin Bacon, Mia Goth, Giallo, Hollywood, Halsey. I'm in.
And it's like in the 50s or
no, this is now.
Wait, no, I thought it
no,
was
I think this is 80s, isn't it?
80s,
yeah, it's not
80s.
the 50s, the 80s, yeah.
Because you had X was in the 70s, Pearl was in the 50s, this one's in the 80s.
80s,
Yeah. Late 80s, early 90s, and her hair looks so amazing in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just I know it's gonna be sexy. I know it's gonna be brutal. I know it's gonna be beautifully shot. And I've talked about this before. If this can even equal, because for me, X is the grindstone of these movies. Like that's the superior one. And this is nothing against Pearl. Pearl's fantastic. This is just how good X was to me. If this can be even on the level or slightly below the level of where Pearl was, this could be the best horror trilogy of all time. If you keep it as a straight trilogy, you know, that doesn't include more movies in the future. If you keep it just a straight horror trilogy, this could be one of the best.
Yeah.
I could put it up there with the original Evil Dead franchise, you know, the first 3 Evil Deads as being just amazing. And Mia Goth is just, what I love about this movie is in X, you had Mia Goth really bouncing back and forth between Pearl and Maxine. And then in Pearl, you really got to see her shine as Pearl. And it gave you an appreciation of who Pearl was. Now I think we're going to get that appreciation for Maxine because she doesn't have to play dual characters in this movie. She can strictly focus on being Maxine and completely bringing Maxine to life. You know, I will not accept a life I don't deserve. Like, I'm just, I'm so ready for this, man. Like, so ready.
I know. I think everybody's just waiting for that release date. I mean, that trailer, where is it? Like, I mean, it's one of those things everybody's been asking for it. Like,
y'all got some of those Maxine trailers?
I'm going to say that personally, I love both films. I love them to death. but like, and it is tough to say, but I really think that Pearl is the one for me. And granted, neither of us got to see X in theaters. I had just had my son when it came out, and you know, we were just so busy with that and everything. And it was just like we just didn't get out there to see it. Plus, like in Ohio, it was still like smaller A24 at the time, I think, for us. So it's like they're weird about releases over here. Like even until it's like established, it's not at every theater. So we just didn't get to see it. So we had to wait till it came out on Vudu, and I rented it. We watched it, and we were like, "That was pretty good," but it grew on us. And then the thing that caught me off guard was watching that, and then like looking up just explain videos and people being like, "How about that secret prequel nobody knew about?" And I was like, "What?" So I watch all these trailers, and I'm just like, "Whoa, this is great." So like Pearl, seeing it in the theater, I think that might affect why that one is up there for me a little bit higher. But I mean, it's kind of like Sophie's Choice at that point. I think they're both excellent, and they both just do two different styles perfectly. Like seriously, I think Ty West is going to shepherd a major horror franchise at some point in the future. I see that for him, and man, I hope he gets to, because he's just he's really established himself here. Luke, say your piece, man.
I mean, this is just one of, I would have been on my list if it wasn't on your guys' list 100%. This is something that I'm just absolutely excited for. Like looking at X and Pearl, you don't get that variance in tone of, you know, what X does in that kind of iconic slasher, really Texas Chainsaw Massacre feel to it, and then Pearl almost having that Wizard of Oz feel to it, that, you know, Technicolor feel, but also both perfectly intertwining horror. You know, it's just a perfect voice. And, you know, going to see Pearl in the theater, one of my biggest, most exciting moments was as the credits rolled, and then we got Maxine coming. You know, it was just like we knew there was going to be more. And you don't get these, you know, we've all been through all these horror franchises here, and you don't necessarily get this, each different installment amplifies the one before it. You know, Pearl absolutely amplified my enjoyment of X because of that backstory and what they were bringing to it. And I think Maxine's going to do the exact same for both X and Pearl. I think I'm going to go back and watch those two after seeing Maxine. I'm going to love those two even more than I do. And those were already on my best ofs of last of 2022.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, Maxine, I fully intend that that's going to be, you know, I'm going to be talking about that when we're talking about the best of the year. And, you know, this one, I was already excited for Mia Goth when they announced Kevin Bacon is going to be in this film. Dylan and I have talked about on the channel that, you know, Kevin Bacon needs to double down on horror, because the guy puts on excellent performances. And when you put that horror element into his performances, we love Hollow Man. And just the way that he brings the terror in that, I can't wait to see what he's going to be doing in Maxine. And then plus, whenever you throw around Giallo to me, I mean, come on, I'm there. And plus, in the 80s, it's going to lend its ear for that kind of that style, that feel to it. Maxine, I'm, as soon as tickets go out, I'm buying one. I can't wait for it.
Oh yeah,
I'm so stoked for it.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, that is it, guys. That is everything that we got on this list. I mean, I know I shot for 40 minutes. I'm sorry that I kept you for an hour, but yeah, I hope I don't think the viewers mind much, but yeah, no, this was a lot of fun. I always love doing these lists. Like even when like we weren't doing YouTube stuff, I feel like Luke and I would always send each other top 10s like that. We just kind of type up, and we're just like, this is how I feel, this is what it is. I would send to like my high school buddies and everything. I would just, in our group chat, I would just send my top 10, just here's just unannounced, this is what it is. Like it's completely unwarranted, but here it is. And you know, just the fact that we get to share stuff like this and do stuff like this with you guys, seriously, it means the world to us to have you guys on our channel and to get to meet you guys and do all this. Like you guys are a big inspiration for us and what we're doing, and I know for a lot of the up and comers in the horror space.
Well, thank
Dude,
you.
it's seriously an honor.
This was awesome.
Yeah, we had an amazing time. We'd love to work with you guys anytime again.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. I see a lot of that coming this year. I'd love to get you guys. That's kind of one of our goals, is we want to get more, you know, acclimated with the community and getting more out there, doing some more collaborations. Because like we've just kind of taken the last 2 years to kind of get on our feet, figure out what we're doing with this whole YouTube thing. So now it's time to get more involved. Like we got our buddies.
That's the best part, man. When you start, collaborating with other people and making the friends that you make, that's the best part for me.
Yeah.
We've made so many great friends.
Yeah. The horror community, for the most part, is a great community to be a part of.
You were talking about X. We went and seen it in the theater with a girlfriend of ours.
Yeah.
And we went into it blind. We didn't watch any trailers, nothing. We're watching the movie. We're looking at Anna like, we're sorry. Like, we didn't know that like it was going to be this sexy. Like, we aren't trying to insinuate anything here. But, it was really cool. Like, we went to Cincinnati to see it right after Horror Hound. So, like, it's one of those memories I think is really special to us because we got to meet somebody who we've considered a friend for a long time and, go in and watch this movie. And it blew us away with how great it was. So.
Awesome. Well, definitely check out Sledgehammer Horror, guys. All of their socials are in the links below. They have a wonderful channel, and yeah, I mean, I don't know if I should tease this, but maybe, quite possibly, next month we might be popping up on there. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Eat the hell out of it. Can't wait for you guys.
Yeah, no. So yeah, we're gonna be showing up talking about our first horror movie. That was an experience. Definitely had a little bit of a fangirl moment after you logged off, Ken. I had to talk to Luke. Like, so surreal being on the other side of that after watching so many videos. So,
it was
but yeah,
funny because I said, I was like, don't go anywhere, guys. I got a couple more questions for you. You were like, I finally get to figure out what the questions are.
Yeah, right.
Finally get to know what he asks. That was cool, man. It made us feel really good. I called Ashley right after. I was like, man, I just worked with two guys. They're fucking amazing. We got to work with them again. So, like I said, when you shot this offer over, I was like, dude, yes, we would absolutely love to do it. I know the perfect day to make it happen.
Thank you. And yes, again, happy birthday, Ken. Absolutely. It's an honor to get to celebrate that with you here. But alrighty, guys, I'll wrap up the video here. So yeah, I guess until next time, I'm Dylan Knoll.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And we usually sign off. You guys want to do it too?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm Ken Sledge.
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
Perfect. One of these days, guys, I'm going to let our guests know about that before we do it. But again, it was just not today. But anyway, take it easy.